The air outside was cool and crisp, a quiet contrast to the suffocating chaos inside the villa. I stepped out of the gate and exhaled, letting the night breeze wash the bitterness from my lungs. The soft hum of cicadas filled the air. Behind me, I could still hear muffled voices from the living room, half scolding, half panicked, but I didn't bother to listen. The students from Peking University followed closely. The lead girl, short-haired and sharp-eyed, smiled warmly. "President, we didn't mean to interrupt your family dinner," she said. "We just thought it'd be better to come in person. The academic office said you still hadn't confirmed your attendance for the National Forum next week." I nodded. "Good call. I'd forgotten about that." Another boy, tall with glasses, chuckled. "Forgot? You've been on every committee's radar for days. The dean even said if you don't show up, the event's doomed." I raised an eyebrow. "That's dramatic." They laughed, the tension instantly dissolving. The car parked outside was a black SUV with the Peking University emblem on the door. I opened the door and gestured for them to get in first. But before I could step inside, a voice called from behind me. "Wait!" "Chloe?" I turned around. Annie Tan stood by the gate, still wearing her kitchen apron. Her eyes were red, her expression hesitant. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have said something earlier. You defended me so many times today, but I just couldn't speak." I smiled gently. "You don't need to apologize, Annie. Some people only learn the difference between kindness and weakness when someone else draws the line for them." She looked down, biting her lip. "They'll be angry with me later." "I know," I said quietly, "but that's not your burden anymore. Let them learn how it feels to lose control." For a moment, she stared at me, then nodded firmly, as if finding courage she'd never had before. The car door closed softly behind me. As we drove off, I glanced back through the tinted window. Annie still stood there, small and fragile under the yellow porch light, but this time, her shoulders were straight. The night city rolled by in flashes of neon and shadow. City S looked the same as it always did, glamorous on the outside, hollow within. The short-haired girl, Maya Lin, leaned forward from the passenger seat. "President, everyone at school's been dying to know what's your major again. Political science, right?" "International relations," I corrected, "with a side project on public leadership." "That explains everything," Maya said, grinning. "You just dismantled a whole family dinner like it was a debate final." The others burst out laughing. Even I couldn't help smiling. Was it that obvious? The tall boy, Ryan Zhao, head of the academic committee, smirked. "You turned emotional manipulation into an art form. Half the table confessed before you even raised your voice." "Not bad for an introvert," I said dryly. They laughed again. Then Ryan grew thoughtful. "But seriously, that girl, the cousin, she seemed like the type who always gets away with things." I nodded. "She's a professional victim. People like that don't need power. They survive by borrowing it." Maya frowned. "You think she'll try something again?" I glanced out the window at the passing city lights. "Oh, she will," I said softly. "But next time she won't have an audience." For a while, the car was quiet except for the steady hum of the engine. Finally, Maya broke the silence. "By the way, we heard your acceptance speech for the National Forum is supposed to represent our university this year. Any idea what you'll say?" I thought for a moment, then smiled faintly. "Something simple," I said. "About how leadership isn't about authority, it's about clarity. Knowing when to act and when to stop pretending." Maya grinned. "That sounds exactly like you." When we reached the university gates, the guards saluted respectfully. Students passing by waved when they recognized me. "President Chloe." "Welcome back," I waved back lightly. The campus was bathed in golden streetlights, the air thick with the scent of night jasmine. After the long, exhausting dinner at the Tan Villa, this place felt like oxygen. Ryan parked the car and turned around. "You sure you're not going home tonight?" I shook my head. "No. I've had enough family for one lifetime." The others chuckled, said their goodbyes, and headed to the dorms. I lingered for a while under the archway of the main building, gazing up at the stone crest of Peking University. Then I took a deep breath and whispered to myself, "Welcome home." The next morning, while I was in the student union office reviewing reports, my phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. "Hello?" I answered absently. A familiar, overly polite voice spoke on the other end. "Chloe, dear, it's your mother. We were just talking last night and realized things might have gotten a little heated. Why don't you come home this weekend? We're planning a small seafood dinner, your favorite, remember?" Ah, there it was, the first wave of damage control. I leaned back in my chair, fingers tapping the desk rhythmically. She didn't sound sorry, just anxious. The tone of someone who'd realized their pride might cost them social capital. "Seafood?" I said mildly. "I thought you said I was allergic to shellfish." She hesitated. "Oh, well, that was years ago. You've grown since then. Besides, Nina will be there too. She wants to apologize." I smiled faintly, though she couldn't see it. Apologize? To me? Or to her reputation? Her voice tightened. "Chloe, must you always talk like this? You're our daughter, can't you let go of the past?" I looked out the window at the blooming garden below. Students walked by laughing, the morning sun glinting off the pond. "I did let go," I said softly. "Last night." Before she could respond, I ended the call. The phone buzzed again almost immediately this time with a message from Annie. "Mom says they're inviting you again. Please don't come if you don't want to. I'll handle whatever happens." I smiled. "You've already handled enough," I replied. "Let them eat their own seafood." The Tan family's villa was once again filled with guests, laughter, and the scent of seafood that hung heavy in the air. This time, the dinner was private, yet every corner of the house glimmered with polite extravagance designer tableware, imported wine, and the most expensive seafood dishes City S could offer. Madame Tan floated between tables, her smile stretched thin but practiced. She greeted every guest as if nothing unpleasant had ever happened. Only those who looked closer could see the cracks. Whispers trailed behind her like shadows. Wasn't her daughter supposed to be from Peking University? Which one? Though the real one or the niece? I heard there was a fight during her birthday dinner. Rumors spread faster than the scent of grilled lobster. Still, Madame Tan pretended not to hear. "The past is the past," she said to anyone who dared bring it up. "Family matters are private." Nina Tan, meanwhile, sat stiffly in her seat, her once flawless confidence completely shattered. She was dressed beautifully, as always, but the sparkle in her eyes had dulled. Her mother, Aunt Susan, kept whispering reassurances beside her. "Smile, darling. People will forget soon. Just act composed." "But what if they ask about Chloe?" Nina hissed under her breath. Aunt Susan's painted lips tightened. "Then tell them she's busy with student union affairs. Keep it vague. The less said, the better." But of course, people did ask, "Where's Chloe?" The president of Peking University's student union, right? Such an honor for your family. The question stabbed right through Madame Tan's perfect smile. "Oh, she's been so busy lately," she said quickly. "Meetings, events, you know how those student leaders are." She laughed softly, but it sounded hollow. "Busy indeed," one guest murmured. "I saw her on the university news site this morning. She's representing the school at the National Forum next week. Such a brilliant young woman." Aunt Susan's hand froze on her wine glass. Nina felt her chest tighten. Chloe was on the news again? She forced a smile, her nails digging into her palm under the table. Another guest leaned closer, lowering his voice conspiratorially. "You know, I didn't realize at first. I thought Nina was the one who got into Peking University. But turns out..." He trailed off when he noticed Nina's expression and quickly added, "Oh, but both girls are so talented, of course." Too late. The damage was done. The Tan family's polite laughter faded, replaced by awkward silence. Meanwhile, the servants moved about silently, their eyes lowered, but even they couldn't hide their amusement. Word had spread quickly among the staff after the previous dinner. They all knew what had happened. When the main course arrived, a massive seafood platter covered in lobster tails, and abalone Madame Tan raised her glass, forcing a smile. "To family," she declared. "And to new beginnings." Her voice wavered slightly, betraying her anxiety. Just as she was about to drink, a servant rushed in, breathless. "Madame Tan, someone's at the gate. They said they're from Peking University." The room went dead silent again. For a split second, Madame Tan's face lit up until she noticed the uncertainty in the servant's tone. From Peking University? She repeated cautiously. Who is it? The servant hesitated. They said they're here on behalf of the student union, delivering documents for Miss Chloe Tan. A cold hush swept through the room. The guests exchanged glances. Madame Tan's smile froze on her lips. She doesn't live here anymore, she said sharply. You can leave the documents. The servant nodded, bowed, and left to handle the visitors. But the whispers had already started again. So Chloe doesn't live here? That's strange. Her mother's acting like she doesn't even know her own daughter. Maybe they had a falling out. Madame Tan clenched her wine glass so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Across the table, Nina forced a laugh that sounded more like a cough. She's always been independent, she said quickly. Chloe doesn't like to bother the family. Really? One of the uncles asked. I saw a clip of her speech last year. Didn't she mention being grateful to her adoptive parents? Not her birth family? The words hit like a hammer. Madame Tan's hand trembled. The wine glass slipped from her grasp and shattered against the marble floor. Red liquid spreading like blood across the tiles. Everyone froze. Aunt Susan hurried to clean up, whispering urgently, Sister-in-law, calm down, please. But the damage was done again. One by one, the guests began to make polite excuses and leave. Oh, it's getting late. I just remembered I have a meeting tomorrow. Wonderful dinner, as always. In less than 10 minutes, the grand seafood banquet had emptied, leaving only the clinking of cutlery and the faint smell of fish. When the door finally shut behind the last guest, Madame Tan collapsed into her chair, covering her face with trembling hands. She's destroying us, she whispered. That girl is destroying everything. Aunt Susan frowned. You mean Chloe? Yes. Ever since she came back, nothing's gone right. Our reputation, our peace, everything's falling apart. Nina looked up suddenly, eyes blazing. Then let's make her pay. Her tone was sharp, nothing like the soft, delicate act she used in front of others. Aunt Susan hesitated. Nina, don't. She humiliated me, Mother, Nina snapped. In front of everyone. She ruined everything. I won't let her get away with it. She slammed her chopsticks onto the table, her expression hard and cold. If the world loves her so much, then let's see how they handle the truth. Truth? Aunt Susan asked carefully. Nina smiled darkly. That Chloe Trin isn't the sweet, perfect president everyone thinks she is. She's got her secrets too. I just need to find them. Madame Tan lifted her head, her face still pale but her eyes glinting with something dangerous. Do what you must, she said quietly. But don't fail. That night, as City S glittered with endless lights, Nina sat alone in her room, scrolling through social media. On every platform, Chloe Trin was trending. Clips of her speeches, interviews, and photos at international events filled the feed. The comments were overflowing with admiration. Smart, elegant, fearless, she's everything a leader should be. Peking University really knows how to pick their student union president. She's an inspiration. Nina stared at the glowing screen, her reflection warped in the glass. Then, slowly, she smirked. If you want to play, she whispered, I'll play too. Nina Tan sat at her vanity, the glow from her phone screen reflecting off her polished nails. The room around her was a shrine to her own vanity designer perfumes, expensive jewelry, rows of luxury handbags neatly displayed. But tonight, none of it gave her satisfaction. Everywhere she looked online, there was Chloe Trin, her flawless smile, her sharp speeches, her effortless poise. Even the headlines seemed to mock her. Peking University's Student Union President, the pride of a generation. From small-town girl to academic icon, Chloe Trin, beauty, brains, and leadership combined. Nina's jaw clenched so tightly it hurt. She scrolled through the comments, her eyes dark with resentment. She's such an inspiration. Wish I could be like her. Her family must be so proud. Family. That word burned in Nina's mind like acid. Her fingers trembled as she opened a new anonymous account and began typing. You think she's perfect? Don't be fooled. She's just good at pretending. Ask anyone who knows her. She used to live off someone else's family and act like she owned the place. She hit post. Then another. Rumor has it she wasn't even the real daughter. Some people just know how to play the victim card and climb their way up. The posts spread quietly, like venom in water. Within hours, screenshots of the comments started circulating. Most people ignored them at first, but then a few gossip accounts picked them up. Who's the real Chloe Trin? Dark past of Peking University's golden girl? By morning, the topic had gained traction. Nina smiled for the first time in days. She leaned back in her chair, watching the chaos unfold online, feeling the sweet rush of revenge. "Let's see how long your perfect image lasts," she whispered. Meanwhile, at Peking University, Chloe sat in the student union office, sipping black coffee while reviewing event proposals. Her phone buzzed. Maya Lin burst through the door, waving her tablet. "President, have you seen this?" Chloe looked up calmly. "Good morning to you, too." Maya frowned. "No, seriously. Someone's spreading rumors about you online. They're saying you weren't really from an academic family, that you used to pretend to be someone else." Chloe raised an eyebrow. "Oh? Sounds creative." Maya gaped. "You're not angry?" Chloe shrugged lightly. "People only throw stones at things that shine. It's part of the job." "But it's going viral," Maya insisted. "There's even a gossip blogger talking about it. We should issue a statement or something." Chloe set her coffee cup down, eyes thoughtful. "No, not yet. Let's see who benefits first." Maya blinked. "You think it's someone you know?" Chloe smiled faintly. "I think it's someone who thinks I still care about what they think." 2 days later, Chloe received an invitation from the National Youth Forum, confirming her role as keynote speaker. The same forum that half the country's universities watched live every year. She accepted without hesitation. When the event began, the hall was filled with journalists, students, and academic leaders from all over the nation. The moderator introduced her with a flourish. "Please welcome the president of Peking University's student union, Miss Chloe Trin." Applause thundered. Chloe walked on stage, poised and serene. Her black suit was perfectly tailored, her expression calm but commanding. "Good afternoon," she began, her voice clear and steady. "Today, I want to talk about leadership and truth." The room quieted instantly. Some people think truth is what others say about you, that it's the stories written in comments, rumors, or headlines. But truth isn't a popularity contest. It's not a mask you wear, and it's not a weapon you use to hurt others. Truth, she paused, is what remains when every lie falls apart. The audience sat in rapt silence. Behind the stage, the live stream chat exploded. "She's talking about the rumors." "She's so composed, not even defensive." "Queen behavior." Chloe continued, her tone calm but razor sharp. "Sometimes people will try to bury you in dirt, but they forget you're a seed." Applause erupted across the hall. In one of the front rows, several journalists exchanged glances and began quietly deleting their pre-written scandal drafts. By the time she stepped off stage, the tide online had completely turned. The same accounts that had shared the rumors now posted glowing praise. She handled the attacks with class and intelligence. That's how a real leader responds. Respect. As for Nina, she watched the live stream from her room, the color draining from her face. Her hands trembled as she scrolled through the comment section. Every post she had made from her fake account was now being dissected by digital investigators. They traced the IP address back to a location, the Tan family's villa. By nightfall, fake rumor from Tan residents was trending higher than her original lies. Aunt Susan stormed into her room, face pale with fury. "What did you do, Nina?" I just wanted... Do you have any idea how much trouble this has caused us? The police came by asking about cyber defamation. Your uncle is furious." Nina's voice broke. "I just wanted her to stop being so perfect." Aunt Susan's tone hardened. "And now she's untouchable, and you've made us the villains." Nina stared at her reflection in the mirror, the same beautiful face, now twisted with disbelief. For the first time in her life, she realized her lies couldn't save her anymore. Later that night, Chloe sat alone on her dorm balcony, the city lights shimmering below. Her phone buzzed a new message. It was from Annie. "Did you see the news? She's been exposed. Everyone knows now." Chloe typed slowly. "Let it be. Some truths reveal themselves better in silence." After a pause, Annie replied, "You really are different, Chloe. I don't know how you stay so calm." Chloe smiled faintly. "When you've lived long enough with people trying to control your story, you learn to write your own." She set the phone down and looked up at the stars. The night sky over Beijing glittered, vast, endless, and free. The scandal surrounding the Tan family spread faster than wildfire. Within a week, every parent group and local news page in City S was buzzing with the same headline. Rumors about Peking University president traced to Tan residents. No one mentioned Nina's name directly, but everyone knew. At the school where Madame Tan taught, whispers filled the hallways. Students giggled behind her back. Colleagues avoided her in the lounge. "She's the one whose daughter tried to slander the university president, right? I thought she was the respectable type." The once proud teacher who loved lecturing others about morality now kept her head down, pretending not to hear. A few weeks later, the education board suspended her for behavior damaging to public integrity. Her husband resigned quietly not long after. And Nina? She stopped showing up anywhere. Her social media accounts vanished overnight. Some said she'd gone abroad. Others said she couldn't face the shame. The truth was simpler. She was still in City S, just living in the shadows. For someone who had built her life on attention, being invisible was worse than punishment. Meanwhile, Annie Trin began a new life with the Trin family. She officially changed her name Trin Annie and enrolled in a culinary program at a top institute. Cooking had always been her escape, and now it became her purpose. Every week, she sent Chloe a photo of a new dish she'd made. "This one's for you, sister. I'm learning how to make your favorite noodles." Chloe always replied with encouragement, "Keep cooking. Every dish is a piece of peace." At the Trin household, laughter returned. The scent of grilled meat and soy broth once again filled the air. Even their family dog seemed happier, a small but undeniable symbol that life had moved forward. As for Chloe, her days at Peking University grew busier but calmer. The National Youth Forum had made her a household name, and yet she remained as grounded as ever, the same sharp, thoughtful girl who always knew how to keep her cool in chaos. One evening, she sat in the library long after everyone else had left, surrounded by papers and the soft hum of city lights outside. Footsteps echoed down the aisle. Leonard Foe stopped by her table, setting down 2 cups of coffee. "You didn't have to," she said, glancing up. He smiled. "You always say that, and yet you always drink it." Chloe chuckled quietly and took a sip. They sat in silence for a while, not the awkward kind, but the kind that feels like peace after a long storm. Finally, Leonard spoke. "I watched you at the forum," he said. "The way you handled those questions, I've never seen anyone stay that calm while being under fire." She smiled faintly. "You've seen me under worse." He nodded. "True, but that was different. Back then, you were fighting to survive. This time, you were leading." The compliment hung in the air, soft but weighty. Chloe leaned back, gazing out at the faint reflection of stars on the library window. "For years, people told me who I was supposed to be," she said quietly. "A lost daughter. A replacement, a problem, a miracle depending on what made them feel better. I think I finally stopped needing their definitions." Leonard looked at her, admiration flickering in his eyes. "So who are you now?" She turned toward him, her smile gentle but certain. "Someone who finally gets to choose." He grinned. "That's the version I like best." Their laughter echoed softly in the still library. A few months later, Chloe launched a new project under her YouTube channel, Usebrain Audio Blending, Storytelling, Education, and Mental Wellness. Her first video began with her calm voice. "This isn't just about success or failure. It's about reclaiming your story no matter how many times others tried to rewrite it for you." The video went viral within days. Students, professionals, even parents left comments thanking her for her words. Annie appeared in one episode, teaching a simple noodle dish that symbolized forgiveness. It became one of the channel's most popular uploads. Together, the 2 sisters, one born into chaos, the other into loss, built something lasting and real. Back in City S, the old Tan residence stood quiet. The garden was overgrown, the once shiny black gate rusting at the edges. The neighbors still whispered about the family who, lost everything but never learned anything. But no one inside seemed to listen anymore. In the end, power, pride, and pretense had all crumbled, leaving nothing but silence. Some evenings, when the wind swept across the university courtyard, Chloe would pause by the stone steps, listening to the faint hum of the city. She would think of the past not with bitterness, but with calm acknowledgement, because everything she had endured, every humiliation, every betrayal had led her here. And now, finally, she was free. The end. Translated and adapted version for the Usebrain audio channel, full English rendering with all names, places, and currency localized.